Traffic Safety Administration, and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
I can't believe he found them.
He seems sorry.
We very clearly told him not to look up there.
I'm honestly impressed that he was able to do it.
Right? What did he balance on that big chair?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he'll just know what his gifts are this year.
I really thought we had hidden them well.
If they can find their presents.
Hello, Larry. What are you for this week?
Every day, 8 kids and teens
He's been
are unintentionally
solid.
killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia, an iHeart radio station.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanee.
Tigers time. Tigers time.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle. Once again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on wonderful radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 The Midlands, Sports Radio 100.1 The Fan in Florence, 920 AM on Manning, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, podcast. Host a watch party if you're watching right now. Retweet, like, subscribe, do all those things. Coming up on the program, hour number 2, Tim Beret, legendary Clemson SID. Going to be joining us. 12 years since Dabo Swinney took over the program. Tommy Bowden, who joins us tomorrow. Tim Beret tweeted that it was 12 years ago, this was just a few days ago, that he got a message from Tommy Bowden, said, hey, come to my office, bring your pen, so to speak. Like, share, and subscribe. Again, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. And would love for you to host a watch party. I don't really know what that means, but invite your Tiger friends in. I've tried to host a watch party before. Matter of fact, I should probably try to start bringing my guest on like this. I can't even do it without an extra guest in the building. But with the platform we're on, we can do some pretty unique things from that perspective. Okay, so here we go. Out of the gates on a Thursday. Toot toot. That's me tooting the horn again here today. We know late in the show yesterday, we got the text message that said, hey, Swanee, did you know or have you heard that Nick Saban has contracted COVID-19? To which at the time I did not hear it, as that news was pouring out while we were on the air. Of course, our buddy B-Man SC sent that our way. Look, I don't have the crystal ball. I don't know how we got this right. Sometimes it's just dumb luck. At least I'm willing to admit that. But I said 2 days ago, the thing to keep your eye on here, just given what we're seeing across the country, COVID-19 in college football. We saw the disruption in the LSU-Florida game. And then right in the waning moments of the show yesterday, the news came down about Nick Saban and Saban contracting COVID-19. Had a chance to talk to Dabo Swinney about that yesterday as well, as the Clemson Tigers came off of the practice field for their final media availability. It was also athletic director Greg Byrne, who has contracted COVID-19 at Alabama. Dabo Swinney, you'll hear his full comments in a second, essentially told us, look, we knew that people were going to get this. It's not like we didn't think people were going to get COVID-19. And he's right. But again, the storyline for me continues to be the disruption in the schedule. And really, from the Big Ten and the Pac-12 perspective, if you are a fan of Ohio State or Penn State or Oregon or Southern Cal, if you are a fan of one of those teams, I am telling you now, you need to be concerned. This is going to be a major issue for these leagues to get their games in. And the more we sit here and talk about it every day, the more I recognize how much more frequently this is going to crop up during the fall. It's an unfortunate circumstance. The weather is what it is. The virus does what it does. And I think that we're going to continue to see games being canceled. And I don't think it's going to be the majority, though. I'll say that. But I think more than we saw the first few weeks of the season, you're going to see a little push here. And this is when the Big Ten's trying to get going. Not a great time to be starting. I think that's a safe thing to say. 803-450-0086. Again, like, share, subscribe, host a watch party. Come join us over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. We'd love to have you. $63.17 so you can hang out with us. If you're a Gamecock, Tiger, Bulldog, Yellow Jacket, or Seminole, come be a part of things.
So you can continue to peek over the fence at the best radio show in the nation.
The late, great Cleveland man. That's one of my favorite lines of all time here on the program. Dabo Swinney was asked about Justin Ross. Ross, who mentioned on social media the other day that, hey, you know what? Got to put my helmet on. That felt great. People were like, whoa, what's the update on Ross, Swatty? Dabo Swinney gives it for you here on Clemson Sports Talk.
Yeah, it's great to see him. As I've said many times, it's been awesome to just watch him work. He has grinded, and our medical staff's done a great job. Larry Greenlee has done a wonderful job. He's kind of been his one-on-one guy, just like he was for Mike Williams. And, but you still got to put the work in, and Justin has come so far. Oh, my goodness. He's got his weight back up. He's back, he got cleared to lift weights a few weeks ago. He's been lifting weights and squatting and doing all those things. But he's been running and doing pretty much everything. But this week's the first week they let him start wearing a helmet again. So he's doing all his rehab work and with a helmet. So he was pretty excited to be able to put that helmet on. And we're just trying to kind of get him used to it. Next week, he gets to go to another level. So next week he'll start. He'll be in the dress of the day, and we're going to put him in individual and all of our routes versus air. He can't have any type of contact or anything like that. But he'll be able to start, doing Indy with the receivers, start doing routes versus air with the quarterbacks, and so I know that'll be a big shot in the arm for him too. But he's doing great. He's doing great, and ahead of I think where Dr. Okonkwo would have liked for him to be. So I think that's all encouraging, and we just got to keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully good Lord will bless us with good news in December when he goes back for his big final kind of check with the doctors in Pittsburgh.
So again, Dabo Swinney yesterday updating the status of Justin Ross. Now, you might be thinking, oh, great, man, well, that sounds awesome. Like, does that mean we're going to get a big weapon back in this offense before the end of the season? Could Justin Ross be available for the college football playoff? No, Dabo Swinney doesn't think Justin Ross will be hit playing football until the fall of 2021. Now, that's something that, I know that the meeting with the doctor will be or will have a significant end-all kind of be-all say in that decision for Justin Ross. But if you listen to Dabo Swinney, and we followed up with him a little bit later, he said, no, that's not going to happen. Again, if you're watching, like, share, and subscribe. Host a watch party. I want to see who the watch partiers are. Whoop, whoop. Bring your confetti. Dabo Swinney was also asked about kick protection. You might, recognize that was a little concern coming off of that game against Miami. Here's what Coach had to say about what they're doing to make sure that BT Potter can stay confident back there and knock the pigskin through the uprights.
Field goal protection.
Yes. The protection. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Kick cover's been pretty good, but it's been really good. We worked it actually every single day. We've broken it down into drill work. We made a couple personnel changes, and it's just all fundamentals of technique. I mean, that's all it is. really put some bad stuff on tape, and we got to go out and give our kicker confidence that we'll do what we need to do up front. And so it's been good. Put a lot of work into it. And expect us to be much improved.
We asked Dabo Swinney, and I did specifically, and every once in a while when you ask a question, you don't phrase it exactly like you would like. And, I wanted to know if he had heard about Nick Saban contracting COVID-19. And then I asked if they have a plan if something like that were to happen midweek for Clemson. The follow-up or the back end of that question should have been, what is your plan? Unfortunately, that's not what I asked. Here's the results.
Well, I didn't know that. I mean, Ross literally just told me walking over here. So, first of all, I hate to hear that, and but we all know that's just listen, we all know what we're dealing with here. I mean, there's a virus out there. Any of us can get it, and it's not like anybody had any thoughts coming into the season that nobody was going to get the virus. The plan was to try to do everything we could to mitigate it, and we've done that. And it's been, a great season to this point. I know we've had some ups and downs in different places and stuff, and that'll continue. But, best wishes and thoughts for Coach Saban, and hopefully he's going to do well. I'll probably call him later. Make sure he's doing good. But certainly hate to hear that, but I'll guarantee you he's got a plan, and I don't know if his wife, Miss Terry's got a plan, but to have him home for a while, that's in the middle of a football season, that's going to probably be a little unusual. But hopefully he'll recover quickly and be able to get back and doing what he loves and he's so good at doing. As far as us, yes, yeah, absolutely, we have a plan for everything.
Of course you do. Why? Like your brain. Come on, Swatty. Ask the right questions, you get the right answers. Ask the wrong questions, you get, yeah, of course we do. Dabo Swinney there talking about Nick Saban. I love his comments about Terry. I'm not sure Terry has a plan for what she's going to do with Nick at home. And this is a big deal because it's number 2 Georgia, number 2 Alabama, number 3 Georgia this weekend there in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I sort of joked, and it's weird to even really joke about COVID-19 at all, given the numbers of people that have died in our country. But I kind of made fun of or light of the fact that Nick Saban has never lost to an assistant coach. And this might be the best chance that an assistant coach has maybe had to beat him outside of when Georgia had him on the ropes in the national championship a few years ago. And if Saban's not in that game, I don't think that counts against him. So we'll see how that all plays out, and we'll continue to talk about that a good bit. And again, this is not a sky is falling type deal. This is not a, oh, hey, you guys, the college season is coming to a screeching halt. Swanee said so type thing. This is the reality that I think we're getting ready to step into, though. More and more games, I think, are going to be pushed off of the schedule. More and more games are going to be affected by this. And my intent with this conversation really, and I'll ask you, what do you think? Am I right? Do you believe that the Big Ten and the Pac-12, given their start time, are going to struggle to get in their matchups? Because I do. Cincinnati's now been postponed, their matchup with Tulsa. Sources are out there that multiple SEC clubs have been given virus sanctions. We mentioned LSU in Florida the other day. I mean, we've got games coming off the slate. And I know there have been many games played. I believe the number I saw earlier today were 173 games have been played. And that's a positive. I don't think anybody's denying that. I didn't think we would play during the fall, honestly. I thought the concerns that we're running into now and the way we saw things previously with the numbers going up would derail things. And then we had a little dip. But now things look like they're beginning to escalate again in states across the country, and that's going to bring more and more COVID-19 red flags into locker rooms. And I think we're going to see more and more games fall off the schedule. And if you're starting now, it seems like a terrible time to be starting. That's why when the Big 12 moved things up a little bit, I thought, yeah, that might be smart. That might be smart. Can the Big 10, can the Pac-12 survive, get in enough games to qualify for the postseason without having to back up the college football playoff and all that? 803-450-0086. Let us know what you think. One linebacker, Kane Patterson, this past weekend had an interception, and he's a name that maybe a lot of people do not know or don't know all that much about, the former four-star linebacker. Dabo Swinney was asked about his development yesterday, and here's what Coach had to say.
Super bright, he's got a lot of time left. He played last year some as a freshman, and, simply because of his promise and his football IQ and his toughness and just how quick he kind of picked things up. He was kind of on the borderline, but we ended up playing him. And, this is kind of a free year. So, he's going to have 3 more years after this. So he basically gets that year back, even kind of like a red shirt last year. But if he stays the course, he's going to be a heck of a player. He'll be one of those guys like Spector that, a couple years from now, you'll be going, dang, where'd he come from? And he's been here the whole time. He's a great kid. He's tough as they come, and got a bright future for us.
Dabo Swinney there talking about Kane Patterson, who he thinks can be a future big-time football player for the Clemson Tigers. We mentioned Justin Ross earlier. Another wide receiver that Clemson's really been missing is Joseph Ngata. And Ngata has been injured. It's been an abdominal strain, an abdominal tear, whatever's going on with him continues to crop up. We knew he'd be back at practice this week, and Coach Swinney was asked to give an update on one of what I think probably could have been the top wide receiver for Clemson coming into this season if he was at 100%. But here's where Coach Swinney said Ngata is.
He's been solid. I mean, I wouldn't say he's been 100%, but he's getting there. And so, again, it's just Wednesday. Hopefully by Saturday he'll be ready to roll.
And I know Clemson Tiger fans are hopeful to see Joseph Ngata out there. And really, it's amazing. I thought it was a knee or a leg issue because of sort of the gait that you would see him run off the field. There was a play against Virginia where he came off the field, and I thought, it looks like something's bothering him. And turns out it's the abdominal muscles. 803-450-0086. You can text us, host a watch party. You can hang out with us and be a part of the show on Twitter at Clemson Sports. That's Clemson news, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Last night in a game that featured a little combination of some former Clemson Tigers, when you talk about Louisiana Lafayette and Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers on the road take down the 21st ranked Raging Cajuns 30-27 with a late field goal. That's the first top 25 victory in the history of the Coastal Carolina program. So congratulations to them. They're off to an undefeated start this year, 4-0. But the ties there with Willie Corn being one of the coaches at Coastal Carolina, and then on the opposite side, Billy Napier, who would have been running the offense in that first matchup for Dabo Swinney against Georgia Tech 12 years ago. Sort of the storylines that all go into that game and last night, plus this game coming up this weekend, are tremendous. And don't forget, our good buddy Tim Beret joins us in hour number 2. And one of the things that will take place this weekend, it is the first time since 1903 that Clemson has taken on Georgia Tech on October the 17th. Now, why is that game significant? Well, in 1903, that would have been a Clemson Tiger team coached by one John Heisman. Clemson beat Georgia Tech that day 73-0, prompting the Yellow Jackets to hire Heisman to lead their program. He got part of the gate, etc. But that's the last time that Clemson and Georgia Tech faced off on October the 17th. They'll meet October the 17th in Atlanta this Saturday. It'll be the number 1 ranked Clemson Tigers taking on a surprising Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket team. And I do mean surprising on a multitude of levels. I know they're just 2-2, but last weekend's convincing victory over Louisville. Maybe the further we get into this season, we'll look at it and go, it wasn't that big of a deal. Louisville's already had their own bout of issues. But you cannot tell me today that going into that game, you had boatloads of confidence that the Yellow Jackets would come away with a victory, especially a 46-27 type victory. 803-450-0086. That is the text line. Getting a couple of text messages in as we speak. We'll get out to those. Plus, I'll update you on the news about multiple SEC schools potentially being punished for COVID-19 protocols.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword check to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. Check to 200-200.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Traffic tie-ups this afternoon include Lake Drive at Lake Court, also a wreck on Killian at Faro. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina Service Benefit Plan. They say defense wins championships. Defense protects your health too. If you're a federal employee in South Carolina, active or retired, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Service Benefit Plan packs a wallop. Learn more at fepblue.org. We've been standing beside federal employees since 1960.
Look, leaks can be embarrassing, and the folks at Because Market can't make your incontinence go away, but their products can give you the confidence to live your life to the fullest. Their comfortable next-generation underwear and pads absorb more than the leading brands like Depend and Poise, and they ship discreetly straight to your home. Thousands of five-star reviews show why customers across the country trust Because. So visit BecauseMarket.com for a free trial. Start for free today at BecauseMarket.com.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place, just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in the booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Chris Domine is a husband and a father. Chris is an athlete. Chris is even an Iron Man. But 10 years ago, Chris was facing a very different story because his kidneys were failing.
Basically, the doctor said, if you don't get a kidney transplant and if you don't do dialysis, you are going to die.
Fortunately, Chris received a second chance at life, made possible by an organ donor.
You know, your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
More than 100 million people in America are registered organ, eye, and tissue donors. People of every age and ethnicity, because they believe it's the right thing to do. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
Thank you to everybody listening to the program in Florence, in Manning, in the PD, in the Low Country, in the Midlands, Columbia, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. 4 to 6 on Fox Sports Radio 1400, 6 to 8 on Sports Radio 100.1 The Fan. You can listen anytime and also catch the podcast. So we talked about Nick Saban just a little bit ago. John in Archdale says, you got to be kidding me about what? John, there's so much in that first segment. It was so jam-packed. I don't know what I got to be kidding you about. I'd have to go back and check the tape myself, just being honest. But I mentioned the fact that the SEC is putting in some protocols to continue to impress upon players, teams, coaches, staffs, athletic departments of the diligence in which you have to take on COVID-19. Multiple SEC schools will have revenue from the conference deducted as a result of not following proper COVID-19 protocols, sources told ESPN. According to the memo sent by Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC last week, schools will have their conference revenue distribution cut by $100,000 for every week they don't follow protocols. The memo obtained by ESPN also said that suspensions will be considered for failure to comply. Underlined and bolded, Sankey wrote, do not relax and do not let those around you relax because of a few weeks of success. And he's right, and that is smart. And I think that's where we've gotten a little bit. I think that we have a little bit of virus fatigue. And I think because the numbers went down, we get a little lax. Maybe we're not doing the things that we were doing a month or two ago. The weather now not cooperating either. It certainly didn't go away in the summer, but I do believe it got better, especially in July and August. But now there's an uptick, and I think people have relaxed. They've taken a breath. It's sort of like what you got to avoid Clemson doing this weekend against Georgia Tech. You know, taking a breath, feeling like, okay, we're good to go. Again, do not relax. Do not let those around you relax because of a few weeks of success. The words of Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC. Again, Vanderbilt, Missouri off the table. LSU and Florida off the table. Nick Saban in the biggest matchup in the regular season, perhaps in the SEC this year. Nick Saban off the table due to COVID-19. I don't know if we're going to lose more games over the next few days. I'll be honest, I can talk about Clemson and Georgia Tech till we're blue in the face. There is no guarantee that matchup will take place as of yet. And I think that is the reality that we are all beginning to have to deal with. And again, I don't feel great. You tell me how you feel about the Big Ten and the Pac-12. I could make the argument here and not feel weird about it and saying that the reason Ohio State doesn't make the college football playoff is because they don't end up playing enough games to be deemed qualified. And even though we don't have like a minimum number of games, I could still see the committee sitting in Grapevine, Texas, looking at the numbers and saying, yeah, you know what? It's really not right that they played 6 games. I don't care that they're 6-0. I like 12-0 Clemson. I like 10-0, 11-0 Alabama. I like 9-1 Team X over 6-0 Ohio State. I think the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have a significant problem in front of them. As a matter of fact, I could even make the argument, as foolish as it might sound to some people, that maybe the Big Ten and the Pac-12 would have just been better off sitting it out if they were going to start so late. And play your own little thing in the spring if that's what you wanted to do. Have your own little title. Out to the text line we go. Davey D23 hits us up. He says, hey, ESPN Since the LSU-Florida game is postponed, why not move the Clemson-Georgia Tech game to that 3:30 slot? Sincerely, fans against noon games. Was that when it was scheduled? I didn't realize it was a 3:30 game. Maybe I did. I may have even mentioned it earlier in the week. The official kickoff time was 4 o'clock. It was going to be aired on ESPN. So it would have been a 4 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. Now that 4 o'clock game belongs to Texas A&M at Mississippi State. I don't know where that game was previously. I know this, as somebody's got to cover the game. I'm good. I'm good with noon. Great with noon. Get up, game day, cover the game, post game, enjoy the afternoon. Dude, the night games Swanee, please don't complain. Sitting there in the press box eating your little ham sandwiches with unlimited drinks, ice cream during the regular year. I don't want to hear you complain about your post-game coverage, 2, 3 a.m. Suck it up, Buttercup. Speaking of Buttercups, enjoy another one of those. The ice cream that always gets the one, it's in a little, like in a little container, and you take it off, and it's like Butterfingers, little ice cream cubes with Butterfinger on the outside. I have no idea how they make that, but it's fantastic. I don't even know where you buy it. I just get it at the press box. Thanks for complaining, Swanee. Instead, Clemson will be playing at noon on ABC against Georgia Tech. And again, this week has been a pretty constant reminder of just truly how fragile this season is. We've got 3 games off the docket. We could potentially lose more games. It's great that we've had plenty of football on. It's wonderful. I don't think I haven't heard anybody complain about that. I don't believe there's been any hospitalizations for college athletes, not college football players that I'm aware of. But it is a terrible time for the Big Ten and the Pac-12 to start. Mark it down. Terrible time. Text us 803-450-0086 or follow us on Twitter at Clemson Sports. You can hit us up. You can hit us up there as well. Atlanta Braves, what the world happened?
I've been about 3.5 years. I've lost 67 pounds, and I feel better than I did at age 40. I'm just getting older. That's the only thing that doesn't stop. Other than that, I feel good.
Listen, we're all getting older, but that doesn't mean you have to feel your age. Are you ready to turn back the clock? It's 2020, and there's never been a better time to start looking and feeling young again. Introducing Andro400.com. Andro400.com has proven solutions to help melt belly fat, increase mood and memory, increase energy, and bring that spark back to your love life. Visit Andro400.com or call 888-400-0435 to see which product is right for you. Try the safe and natural way to start feeling and looking your best. And there's nothing to lose with an industry-leading 90-day money-back guarantee. Visit Andro400.com or call 888-400-0435.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword check to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's check to 200-200.
Now the forecast from the $1,500 instant rebate AAA Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
A mild afternoon, a bit humid as well, and a scattered shower or two will round out our Thursday afternoon temperatures touching 80 degrees. For ABC Columbia Channel 25, I'm Tyler Ryan.
This report is sponsored by attorney Bill Green and the Green Team.
If you're in a wreck, you have enough to deal with these days. Call the Bill Green Law Firm. We're here to help.
Always think green when you collide. Call 771-2455. Here we go.
2821 Millwood Avenue, Columbia, South Carolina.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax.
But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Sports Radio, Fox Attitude. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Indeed, it is the show that shakes the Southland on a Thursday. Lawton Swan with the Timber coming up in just a few minutes. So, apparently, my jinx or my interest in the Atlanta Braves or whatever has gotten it's gotten too real. So I'm backing down. I'm pumping the brakes on talking about Atlanta too much. Yesterday, I mentioned the fact that somehow I had either saw the box score wrong or whatever, but thought the Atlanta Braves had been up 7-0 in the top of the ninth inning, tacked on one to go up 8 and gave up 7. That's not how that worked out, thankfully, because that was worse than what actually happened. But they did end up winning 8-7. Little did we know how significant that result would end up being in the NLCS, as last night it was a record-setting night as the Los Angeles Dodgers scored 11 runs in the first inning. So imagine, if you will, the Atlanta Braves fan who had planned to watch the first pitch, but perhaps got caught up having to do one final chore or whatever, whether that's take the garbage out, maybe finish half of the yard. And so they get in a little bit late. Say second inning late. And they're looking up at the scoreboard.
Holy crap!
Right? I mean, if you were an Atlanta Braves fan and you were watching a Netflix show and you thought to yourself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to finish up this show before I flip over to the Braves tonight. And you flipped over at the end of the first inning, you probably just flip right back into your Netflix show. I mean, can you see a guy, like, it's reminiscent of the old days with the remote. You're like flipping through, you're like, all right, let me get to the Braves game and stop, 11-0. Okay, let's go somewhere else. Like, where else are you going to go? Then they're down 12-0 after 2, 15-0, heading into the bottom of the third before they scratched across a run. Ooh, now we're back. Just 14 more to go, guys. 2 touchdowns. We got this. that was something. And tonight they get Clayton Kershaw. The narrative on Kershaw, though, has always been, and even a guy that doesn't love baseball like me, it's always been, hey, he is a dominant regular season pitcher. He has struggled in the postseason. Yes, and you have to include the fact that the Houston Astros were cheating in a couple of those games, if my memory serves me correctly. If Clayton Kershaw is healthy, he was supposed to pitch game 2. Back spasms kept him out. They've worked on him for 48 hours trying to get this guy right and ready to rock and roll. If Clayton Kershaw comes out sharp and healthy and the back isn't giving him an issue, it could spell trouble for the Atlanta Braves, who could really position themselves very well up 3-1 if they can beat Clayton Kershaw tonight, or if he has to come out of the game. Because they've got the Max Fried kid and what's the Ian? I got to look this guy's name up. I can't even remember it. Ian Anderson. 2 bright stars that they would get a chance to push out there and maybe eliminate the Dodgers. But it really comes down to Clayton Kershaw tonight. I mean, if Kershaw goes out there and struggles, see you later, LA. If Clayton Kershaw goes out there and dominates 2-2 series, all bets are off. And maybe even at that point, in the mind's eye of a lot of the people, it would shift to an advantage for Los Angeles, who is a great team, very talented, one of the most talented teams in baseball. The Braves are hot, though. They've been hot. They're playing well. They're exciting. The Atlanta Braves right now, I think, just kind of remind me of, remember the way you felt about Oregon when they sort of came on? You're like, all right, this is cool. This is really cool. They're hip. Clemson had a little bit of that at first. They're making, Chad Morris is there. You got the offense going. You got Taj Boyd spinning the bean. You got playmakers. People are like, all right, yeah. Braves got a lot of pop at the plate. They got a young pitching staff. They're exciting. They're aggressive. And so I think people like that, especially the casual baseball fan. But every baseball fan, casual or not, when they flipped over last night, if you tuned in late, that was like catching Mike Tyson and Mike Spinks about 2 minutes in, because it was over. It was already done. There was no. How do we get back in it? I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I'm not a proponent for quitting at any point. But there has to be a moment in that game where, if you're on the Atlanta Braves, if you're in the dugout, you got to be thinking, man, can we just go home? Do we have to sit here and finish this thing? Like, the mercy rule is real. It exists in the little leagues. I'm not so certain that it wouldn't be an idea that the Braves would have embraced yesterday after the way they performed out of the gates.
How dare you fill my head with such loathsome propaganda?
Facts. Not propaganda. Facts. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Coming up in hour number 2, Tim Beret joins us. Again, his Clemson Tigers, the number 1 team in all of the land. His Notre Dame Fighting Irish, also inside the top 5 in America, the number 4 team in the country. Fighting Irish have Louisville this weekend looking to rebound. That's a 2:30 start on NBC.
car, you need the best directions to get where you want to be.
Will arrive at your retirement in 8
The
years.
same is true for your retirement. You need a voice to guide you along the way. Join Pat Struby for Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby. Pat's 18 years of experience can help make your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street.
Arriving at your retirement.
Saturdays, 6 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio. And Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 9 on 560 WVOC for Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower-to-shower talcum products have been linked to ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by two juries to two women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using talcum baby powder products. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Powder Help Now today at 800-833-0112. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed or died from ovarian cancer, call Talcum Powder Help Now at 800-833-0112. 800-833-0112. 800-833-0112.
Paid for by Bar Justice.
Introducing Canada Dry Bold Ginger. It's not your grandma's ginger ale. I know because I'm not your grandma. I don't pressure you to get married. I say play the field all you want. And I drink new Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that would blow the bingo cards out your grandma's bag. I drink it while watching backyard wrestling. There's more on the line when the wrestlers don't have insurance. New Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
The free iHeartRadio app has the largest selection of spooky podcasts on the planet to set the mood for Halloween. Open the app, tap podcasts, and tap spooky to find The Piketon Massacre, Lore, Paper Ghosts, The No Sleep Podcast, Haunted Places, Hell and Gone, and dozens more. We did all the work. Just hit play and have a howling good time. All the spooky podcasts right at your fingertips. iHeartRadio, #1 for music, radio, and podcasting, all in one app.
iHeartRadio. Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
It is the show that shakes the Southland. Lawton Swan with you. Clemson Sports Talk at Clemson Sports. Like, share, subscribe. Podcast are coming. Again, the Atlanta Braves, big game coming up this evening. Didn't even give you the start time on that, so I'll lock that up for you real quick. 5:07 p.m., Tampa Bay and Houston. The Astros won yesterday, so that's 3-1 right now. Tampa Bay trying to close that one out, 5:07 on TBS. It'll be the Braves and the Dodgers, 8:08 on Fox. Again, Atlanta looking to go up 2-1. Big game. And I would pose this question to Atlanta Braves fans. You can comment if you're watching the show. Is the result of this game more about Atlanta or Clayton Kershaw's back? So I guess what I'm getting at is, can Atlanta win this thing even with Kershaw in there? Which, of course, they can, but would you buy that? Or do you think ultimately this hinges on Kershaw, whether he can go or not? He's going to go out there. Can he finish the J-O-B? Can he get the J-O-B-D-O-N-E, the job done? I don't know. Coming up tonight, 7:30 on ESPN, Georgia State at Arkansas State. Then Friday night, we mentioned it yesterday, SMU, the 17th ranked Mustangs at Tulane, 6 o'clock on ESPN, followed by 14th ranked BYU, the Cougars, at the Houston Cougars. That's 9:30 start on ESPN. Again, your Clemson Tigers coming up this weekend. They're taking on Georgia Tech in Atlanta. I was looking at some stats earlier today, and it's amazing to me just how impressive Miles Murphy has been. And I know that we played some audio yesterday with Tyler Davis talking about Brian Brzee, and Brian Brezee's name does come up a lot, rightfully so. Very disruptive, and I don't think that necessarily being on the interior of a defensive front, your statistics will necessarily bear out to your impact. Unlike maybe a defensive end or a linebacker, some guys that are making a lot of plays, getting a lot of tackles just by the nature of the game. You can do a lot more to disrupt on the interior of a defensive line and to disrupt an offensive line without picking up any stat that goes in the books for anybody. You might not get a quarterback pressure. You might not get a quarterback sack. You might not even get a tackle. But you make a living allowing everybody else around you to be a star and to be great. So when you try to compare Brian Brzee and his impact versus Miles Murphy, if you start to look at the numbers, man, you're going to go, why would anybody ever bring up Brian Brzee at this point? Because the arguments on paper don't make sense. I mean, Miles Murphy, second on the team in tackles with 19. He's got 8 solo, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, been a monster off the edge, true freshman. You go down to a guy like Brian Brzee, he's got 3 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 pass deflections. That's it. You say, well, where's his impact, Swanee? How's he changing the game? I'll give you Balin Spector at 25 tackles. I'll give you James Skalski at 17 tackles. I'll give you Jake Venables at 13. The linebackers. That's a direct reflection of the job that Brian Brzee and Tyler Davis, now that he's back, but some of the other defensive linemen on the interior have on this game. Niles Pinckney, whomever you want. If we sat here today and tried to measure Brzee versus Miles Murphy over the course of this season, Miles Murphy's going to dominate statistically. So you can't do that. Brian Brezee's name is not going to pop up all that often for fans on your television about what a huge play by Brian Brzee. You'll get the analysts who will acknowledge it. You'll get the replay that'll show what he does to disrupt. But if you go check that box score down the line, the odds that you just see him there popping off of the page, by comparison to some of these other guys, it's not going to happen. For every Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins, as good as they are on the interior, there are guys like Cleveland Farrell who rack up the stats. but it does not make their job any less significant for sure. And so I just found it kind of funny today because we know, you know, how important these two young freshman defensive linemen have been. But when you look at the numbers, you know, somebody that doesn't understand the impact that Brian Brzee and Tyler Davis and guys on the interior have on the defense would say, what's the big deal with this kid? Big whoop. That is a man. That is, let me rephrase that. That is an NFL-type body playing as a true freshman in college. Miles Murphy already looks like Cleveland Farrell. Facts. Brian Brzee, I don't even know. Brian Brzee looks like Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins had a kid. Like you got like the height of a Dexter Lawrence, not quite the bulk. You got the athleticism and the speed of a Christian Wilkins. It's like a combo of those two guys. And it's been great fun to watch. One of the guys who watched William the Refrigerator Perry dominate on the interior during his time in Tiger Town was Tim Beret. Tim Beret joins us coming up in hour number 2 of the program. You don't want to miss it. Talk to him a little bit about the numbers game on that defensive line and just how impactful a guy like Brian Brzee could truly be.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Bluff at Pineview. Also a broken down car, I-26 westbound at the 378 exit. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by DEA Take Back Day, October 24th. DEATakeback.com.
Hi, I'm Miss America 2020 Camille Schreier, and I'm asking you to join me in support of the DEA's Take Back Day on Saturday, October 24th. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Visit DEATakeback.com. That's DEATakeback.com.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
I'm Jamie Harrison, candidate for the United States Senate, and I approve this message.
Born to a teenage mom in Orangeburg, raised by his grandparents, he overcame poverty. Earned a scholarship to Yale, went to Georgetown Law, then came back to give back. Jamie Harrison, running for the Senate to restore hope to a broken political system, to put country before party. As a son of rural South Carolina, he understands our lives, what it means to go without health care, attend an underfunded school, live in places that feel forgotten by the people in power. That's why Jamie's plan does what he's always done, brings people together, Democrats and Republicans who don't always agree, to work for all of South Carolina. To Jamie, it's not about left versus right, it's about right versus wrong. Faith, family, and service. Those are Jamie's guiding values, and we need them now more than ever.
Paid for by Jamie Harrison for U.S. Senate.
Facebook knows that voting this year is a little trickier than usual, and you may have questions like how to register, vote by mail, and how to safely vote in person. That's why Facebook created the Voting Information Center. Get information from election authorities and experts at facebook.com/votinginfocenter. And don't miss the new podcast from iHeartRadio and Facebook called Why I'm Voting, where you'll hear more reasons to vote. iHeartRadio's Why I'm Voting, countdown to Election Day. Your vote is your voice.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp. I can probably hit the green from here. Probably. Can I get a mulligan? Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia, an iHeart radio station.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set. Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Lawton Swan with you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Tim Beret coming up here on the program. Lots to get to with Tim Beret. He's here every Thursday afternoon. If you're watching right now, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you if you're watching and listening. Share this show. Peer pressure. Share the show. If you're listening to us on the radio, maybe honk your horn at the person beside you and say, tune in. It's a show that shakes the Southland, bozo. All right, Tim Beret coming up with us here on the program. Got a lot to get into with him, including taking it all the way back to 1903, the last time Clemson faced Georgia Tech in Atlanta on October the 17th, 1903. We'll talk with Tim about that and much more. Tim, welcome in. Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing good.
No truth to the rumor that I covered that game in 1903.
Yeah, right. But Hunter Renfrow had a touchdown, I heard.
Hunter Renfrow did score that game, yeah.
All right, Tim. Let's start there. We'll start there anyway. So I saw your predecessor, Ross Taylor, tweeted out the Clemson's never played against Georgia Tech on October the 17th, I guess, since that game in 1903 in Atlanta. Here we are, some 117 years later. You look back on that, John Heisman, the coach, 73-0, but an impactful game certainly for Clemson football's future because of what happened.
Which way are you going? What do you mean?
With the poaching of the head coach the following season.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That was, yeah. You know, there have been examples in college football history of teams getting coaches who beat them. And actually, Eric Parsegian is a great example of that. You know, as Northwestern coach, he beat Notre Dame 4 years in a row. And everybody at Notre Dame took notice of that. This guy must be a good coach, so let's go get him. And so that's actually kind of what happened in those days. Georgia Tech had a lot more money than Clemson, and they basically were able to give him a good financial package. I want to say, that they offered him a salary of $2,800, but plus a percentage of the gate. Imagine if you got a percentage of the gate today.
Right. Significant numbers for Dabo Swinney if that was the case. I can tell you that. And I think about the rivalry. It's the cross-divisional game for Clemson when you have these two divisions. Even though Georgia Tech hasn't been in the league. What year they joined the ACC in, like 1979, something like that? Is that right? 83?
Their first year in the ACC for football was 83.
Okay, 83. So thinking back on it, how did this matchup between these two teams become so traditional, even given the fact that, Georgia Tech was a part of the SEC for a period and everything that went on. How did it stay a rivalry?
Well, you're right. And if you look at the scores, and sometimes you wonder, because we would play almost every year, not exactly every year, but obviously it was a good financial deal for Coach Howard. People, there were different times back then, and you need to balance your budget, and so you'll notice if you look at the Clemson football guide and look at the results. Coach Howard played some big-time non-conference games, and they were always on the road. It's amazing Coach Howard was successful as he did. Only 38% of the games that Coach Howard coached were at Clemson.
Wow.
62% of them were on the road. But so he would go to Atlanta just about every year, and the Clemson fans like going down to Atlanta, but in Coach Howard's career, he only won at Georgia Tech twice, 1945 and 1969.
Wow. And they went down there every season. And I guess because of that, was it sort of seen, I guess until 74, they played in Atlanta for the most part. I mean, was it sort of seen as almost like a bowl trip for Tiger fans? Like, we're going to go to the big city and play Georgia Tech. I mean, how do you get that deep into the weeds, so to speak, and never have that game in Clemson? Just simply the gate? I mean, more fans, I guess, would have been well, maybe not during that time. I don't know. How's that happen?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's basically what it was about. It was all about all about the money, and it wasn't until 5 years after Coach Howard was no longer the coach. Although I got to believe that the negotiations to make it home and home took place when Coach Howard was the athletic director, at least, if not the head coach. And then finally they came here in 1974. 1974, Clemson had a great home schedule. They actually had Georgia playing here and Georgia Tech, and beat them both. Mike O'Kane actually threw a big touchdown pass that led to the victory in 1974 against Georgia Tech through to Benny Cunningham.
Now, Tim, from 1933 to 1963, Georgia Tech was playing in the SEC, and that's one of the reasons they've got such great rivalries with Auburn and Alabama and other programs in that conference. And, looking back on that moment, how close in 1933 was Clemson close to, joining the SEC or being a part of that league at any point along the way?
I never heard that they were Lawton. I never heard that was the case. Now, you got to remember in 1933 when the things were getting going with the SEC, Clemson's program was really not very good. You might have heard the story in 1931 was, I think we talked about it earlier in the season, that Clemson played the Citadel and lost to the Citadel, and that's when they had the meeting in a car outside the stadium. Coach Neely and some other officials, they decided, they needed to do. That's kind of what led to the founding of IPTAY.
Wow!
But Clemson really wasn't very good until 1937, I'd say, and 1938. And so it was a while.
Kind of interesting to see how it played out for both programs, and ultimately rejoining the two in 1983, even though they played quite a bit during that time. Tim Beret, legendary Clemson SID, with us here as we get set to watch Clemson travel over to Grant Field in Atlanta to take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets this weekend. And Tim, it's been a venue in the past where perhaps Clemson has had some road woes for whatever reason. Not recently per se, but in recent memory for some Tiger fans. I think 8-0 going over there back in 2013 or so, I believe, something like that. And just, for whatever reason, Georgia Tech's always been a little nemesis for the Tigers. Tell us a little bit about some of those memories that you have.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. In fact, if Clemson wins Saturday, it'll be the first time ever Clemson's won 3 straight games in Atlanta.
Wow.
But yeah, we went for, let's see, in 2003 we won big, and didn't win it again until 2016.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, I mean, there were a lot of close losses in there. In between, there was a 10-9 loss when Charlie Whitehurst was playing, and there was a couple games with C.J. Spiller that were close games. We got way behind, I know, in 2009, and came back, and then ended up losing. There was
I feel like that 2011 game is the one I was thinking of when I said 13. That 2011 game, I think Clemson was, 8-0 going into that game, if my memory serves me correctly? Number 5 in the country.
I think so. Yeah, there has been a couple of times where we've been, in 2000 we were undefeated, 8-0, and ranked 3rd in the coaches poll, 5th in the AP poll, and Georgia Tech scored on virtually the last play of the game on a pass to Kerry Watkins, who made a one-handed catch in the back of the end zone, and that was in late October of 2000.
Well, this week, Tim, I know has some significance for you and Clemson's current head coach, Dabo Swinney. It was 12 years ago that you got a call from the man that'll be our guest tomorrow at 5 o'clock, Tommy Bowden, and said, "Hey, bring your pad pen. We got to put out a press release." Give me the memories of that moment when you got the call. I mean, obviously, you could probably read the tea leaves that Tommy Bowden was in trouble given the loss at Wake Forest, but what's that moment like for you when you get that buzz?
Well, yeah, part of it was the anticipation of the 2008 season. We were preseason ranked number 9 in the country. And then in the season opener, we got hammered by Alabama, who was ranked 24th, going in. People forget, coming off the 2007 season, I want to say Alabama was 7-6 or 6-7, something like that.
Yeah.
And so, everybody was hyped up for that game, and then we, outside of a C.J. Spiller kickoff return for a touchdown, there wasn't much to cheer about in that game. And so we go to Wake Forest, and we're 3-2, and Wake Forest is pretty good. I just remember there were 27 NFL scouts at that game, which is the most NFL scouts I've ever seen at a Clemson game. It was a Thursday night game, and of course you're going to have more scouts at a Thursday night game because the NFL guys can double dip the trip and go to game on Thursday and then go to other games in the Triangle on Saturday. So that always is going to attract a lot. But the Wake Forest had some really good defensive players, and it ended up a 12-7 game. And C.J. Spiller had gotten hurt. Often wondered if what would have happened if C.J. hadn't gotten hurt in that game. But anyway, so we came back, and then I was in the office Friday afternoon. I'd met with Tommy and put out a release that Willie Korn was going to become the starting quarterback for the next game against Georgia Tech. Tommy figured we needed to do something to jumpstart the offense, and he also felt the Clemson nation needed something to be hopeful about. And so but then after that, Terry Don Phillips came in my office and told me that he had pretty much decided that if we didn't win the Atlantic Division by the end of the year, he was going to make a change. Now, granted, there was still a lot of football to be played. We were just 3-3. So, Terry Don told me he thought he owed it to Tommy to tell him that. He'd been there 10 years and thought he owed him to tell him that. So, knowing there was going to be a meeting Monday. And I had a little bit more of a feeling that Tommy might just say, why don't we just end it now, than Terry Don did. And that, of course, is what ended up happening. So I had a little bit of a heads up that something might be up on Monday.
Well, and ironically, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, last night, Coastal Carolina's co-offensive coordinator, Willie Korn, was facing off against the man that Dabo Swinney would make the offensive coordinator, Billy Napier, if my memory serves me correctly, in that matchup between Coastal and Louisiana Lafayette. Is that right?
That is correct. Billy Napier became his offensive coordinator when Dabo fired Rob Spence the day he got the interim tag. Yeah,
and Corm was the quarterback that started that Georgia Tech game and got hurt early on. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Willie Corn is the answer to a great trivia question. Who was the starting quarterback at Dabo Swinney's first game as head coach? And the answer is Willie Corn. And it was, all the hullabaloo about him taking over. And then he got hurt throwing a pass. It was a Georgia Tech player who hit him right in the shoulder. And I got to be honest with you, Willie never threw the ball like he used to again.
Yeah, it was that was a rough hit, a rough moment. But 12 years later, all three parties involved doing pretty well, I would say, at this point, with what they've got going on. And how about Willie Corn and those guys?
Even Coach Bowden's doing well at the beach.
Right. Yeah, we'll find out how he's doing tomorrow. And, of course, his dad was recently diagnosed with COVID-19, but we talked to him last week. He said his dad felt, pretty good about things, stubborn, didn't want to go to the doctor, as you know, a lot of us dads can be at times. And, Tim, I will ask you this, too. The news that came out, I asked Coach Swinney about it yesterday about Nick Saban with COVID-19. I mean, ahead of this matchup with number 2 Alabama and number 3 Georgia, I posed my question wrong to Coach Swinney. I know he's got a plan if something like that were to happen. What I didn't say is, what's your plan if something like that happens? But I know he's kept it under lock and key. Your thoughts on Nick Saban's COVID-19 diagnosis and the impact it might have this weekend, in your opinion?
Yeah, my first reaction to Coach Saban getting that is that, anybody can get it, and you really don't know how people are getting it. I mean, who would probably be more careful and more, vigilant about not getting it than Nick Saban?
Right.
So the fact that he got it tells you that, anybody can get it, and you got to do everything you can. And even if you do everything you can, you still might get it. So now, as far as game day operations and everything, the NCAA has a rule that he can't communicate during the game in any way, which I find a little bit unusual. You think he'd be able to text some coaches or whatever, but apparently that's not going to be the case. So you would think it would have some kind of effect on the game.
Now, in your gut opinion, and you may know the actual answer, but just in your opinion, if Dabo Swinney had to have announced yesterday that it was him with COVID-19, I'm assuming Brent Venables is on the sidelines as the head coach and Tony Elliott's in the press box calling plays. Would you agree with that sentiment?
He has not told me, and I really don't know.
I don't think you bring Tony out of the press box. That would be my biggest point. I mean, I said for fun, Ross Taylor should coach the team. Just let's go all in on that. But I don't know.
Part of me, and he has. Let me make this clear. Okay. He has not said anything to me about this at all. I have no idea what the answer is. But part of me wonders if he wouldn't make Woody McCorvey the head coach and let the two coordinators call their side of the ball.
I like it. I like your answer. I think it's a good one. Tim Beret, always strong effort here on the program. I like that. Tim. That's a good one. It keeps both coaches doing what they're doing. I mean, that was my only reason for Venables, because he's on the sidelines anyway.
It keeps both coaches. And, when you got to decide whether to go for it on 4th down on offense, Tony Elliott makes the decision, or you got to decide whether you're going to blitz on defense. Venables is going to make the decision. But and as far as the communication situation, I mean, I would think that you're right. That if Tony likes calling the game from the press box, I would think he'd still call the press box and have the same communication structure that they have.
I still don't know how coaches call a game from the sidelines, to be honest with you. Steve Spurrier was unbelievable in that regard. I can't figure that out to save my life. Tim, thank you for your insight. I do appreciate it. And again, he doesn't know, but that's a great speculation from Tim Bray. Tim, take care.
Now let me be pray. Don't go out there tweeting that I said this is what would happen. I totally do not know.
Right.
I just made a guess that is logical.
Thank you. Exactly. Tim Bray here on the show that shakes the Southland. I like it. That's a reasonable. It's very plausible. Very plausible. And for more reasons than one. More reason. When Tim paused, I thought he might go Coach McCorvey here. And and the structure of that too would be a little bit strange, but maybe predictable. And again, Tim doesn't know. I don't know. Dabo Swinney does this under lock and key. Maybe that's the question. That's the coach. Would Coach McCorvey be the guy? That should be Swatty. You got to get better. I'll tell you why Coach McCorvey would be the guy if he was right after this.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword BILLS to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's BILLS to 200-200.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic. Sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive. Home of the best tire prices in Columbia. Guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Bluff at Pineview. Also a broken down car, I-26 westbound at the 378 exit. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. Check out W Million, the new $10 scratch-off with a top prize of $1 million. But that's not all. Enter your non-winning tickets into the second chance drawing for a chance to win up to $2 million. It's twice as nice. See SCEducationLottery.com for game odds and details.
Lawton Swan here, and I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
Hey, golfers. Have you been to the golf capital of the world yet? Myrtle Beach Golf offers a variety of custom packages featuring nearly 80 courses. Golfers have the option to create the exact experience they're looking for. Plus, Myrtle Beach Golf provides top-notch accommodations with over 15 resorts, all guaranteed to be a hole-in-one. Come join us for a short drive away in Myrtle Beach for your best golf trip by par. Book now at myrtlebeachgolf.com.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
Take an ordinary putty knife and scrape off the old wax ring. Place the new wax ring over the flange, then line up the bolts with the bowl and gently set in place, making sure a proper seal is created with the flange and drain. Next.
Dad?
Yeah, sweetie.
Is that an old plumbing manual?
Oh, yeah, honey.
We really need to get some new books.
Right, do you want me to stop?
Nah, I kind of want to know how it ends.
Okay. Tighten the bolts, line up the flushing valve to the opening in the top of the bowl, and secure the tank with a screwdriver and crescent wrench.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Unit 121 responding to possible carbon monoxide poisoning.
Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless, tasteless gas that kills more than 500 Americans every year. Never use generators, grills, camp stoves, or other gasoline or charcoal burning devices inside your home, basement, or garage, or near a window. If it's cold, stay with friends or family or in a shelter. To learn more, call 1-800-CDC-INFO.
Stay on top of today's pop culture. Ace and TJ Mornings and today's hit music all day on 104.7 WNOK.
The show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk, Lawton Swan with you. Okay, so again, like, share, subscribe. Come over, be a part of it, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. And $63.17 gets you 1 year coverage. That's $5.25 roughly a day. A month, like 18 cents a day. And we'd love to have you come in and join. We had new members subscribe yesterday. Listeners of this program jumping on board to say, Swanee, you know what? I love the show. I can't be there all the time, but I want to support you. And that's amazing. Tim Bray was on just a few minutes ago. I posed the question, what if, hypothetically, Wednesday, Dabo Swinney had to do what Nick Saban had to do yesterday, which was say, hey, you know what? Got COVID-19. Can't coach this week. My thought has always been that Brent Venables would coach on the sidelines, Tony Elliott in the box. Elliott calls plays from the box now. I don't see Elliott coming down to the sidelines. I don't see it. But then Tim paused, and I thought maybe he goes Woody McCorvey here. Now, McCorvey, who is the Associate AD of Football Administration, is on the sidelines during games. And I really don't know whether or not, Tim mentioned you can't have a coach communicating with someone on the sidelines or anybody during the game day. But if you imagine Woody McCorvey in that role, it's perfect. You go, why? Dabo Swinney refers to Woody McCorvey as their national security advisor. Woody McCorvey is arguably as close to Dabo Swinney. Scratch that, reverse it. Is closer to Dabo Swinney than anybody else on that staff. Dabo Swinney said, my experience with him dates to my days as a player at Alabama when he was my position coach. He coached at Clemson in the 80s under Danny Ford and knows all about our winning tradition. Let's not forget that Dabo Swinney, when he got the job at Clemson, said, Woody, I need you to come be by my side. I don't want you to coach a position. I want you to help me coach life. I want you to help me run the program. Swinney said that during his acceptance speech for the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year Award. He told McCorvey, he told individuals speaking, he said he knew he needed to have an extra set of eyes and ears to help me build a program from a day-to-day basis. Swinney went on to say, we just did not really have a big infrastructure here. Not only did I have to have someone, but I needed somebody that I could trust, somebody that knew me and knew how I thought. He was the perfect fit for that. Swinney said, and I quote, he is a guy that has always believed in me. That's number one. And then he is a guy that I trust. I mean, honest to goodness, I think that's one of those moments where, or one of those relationships where you think, you know what, Tim Bray might be right. And again, he doesn't know, doesn't have a clue. And let's not forget when Dabo Swinney won Coach of the Year a few years ago, he brought Woody McCorvey up on stage and talked about Woody McCorvey and how important Woody McCorvey was to his life and to his coaching career. And I think that that just gives you an idea about why Tim might be all over it. And again, he doesn't know. And I think everybody agrees that you don't want to have to do that. You don't want to have to go through that if you can avoid it. Here's Sweeney talking about McCorvey.
I would like to say one thing, and I don't know, where's Woody McCorvey? Where's Woody McCorvey? Come up here, Woody. Come here just a second. Y'all just afford me this second. Y'all need to, Woody came with me, but Woody was my coach, all right? So Woody, this is what the game of football does, okay? And this is how God works through the game of football. So Woody McCorvey's from Atmore, Alabama, Highway 31, which runs all the way through the state of Alabama. He's from Atmore, Alabama. I'm from Pelham, Alabama, Highway 31. That's the only road I knew my whole life until they built 65 through Pelham sometime when I was in middle school. But you take football brought a guy from Atmore, Alabama together with a young guy from Pelham, Alabama, and we meet up at the University of Alabama. He came to Alabama from Clemson, where he was the receiver coach, and he came to Alabama with Gene Stallings, and I'm a young sophomore, 1990, and he became my position coach, and I played for him for 3 years, and then he was very instrumental in me getting into coaching. He and Coach Stallings gave me the opportunity to be a graduate assistant, and I was a GA. And then in 1996, Coach Stallings shuffled his staff around. I was done with my GA. I had my master's and was ready to go off wherever in the world and coach my group of guys. And Woody was named the offensive coordinator, the first African-American offensive coordinator in the history of the University of Alabama.
I'll tell you what, we got a break coming up, so we'll pause that. We'll come back to that. We'll pick that up after the break. You'll finish hearing that unique relationship between Dabo Swinney and Woody McCorvey. And maybe, I mean, if Clemson has to cross that bridge that Nick Saban and Alabama are having to cross that bridge, or having the bridge that they're having to cross this week, maybe it is Woody McCorvey who gets the nod from Swinney to lead the Tigers onto the gridiron. We had the break. We come back. We'll wrap up that speech momentarily.
If you've been waiting for a sign to know when it's time to buy a new home, here it is. Great Southern Homes Mad Money Extravaganza. Receive up to $10,000 in incentives on select homes. Visit GreatSouthernHomes.com, find your new home, and talk to a new home community representative to discover the amount of mad money on the home you've longed for. But hurry, you must close on your new home by December 31st, 2020. Make your dream home a reality with Mad Money Extravaganza at GreatSouthernHomes.com.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating. 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword BILLS to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's BILLS to 200-200.
This is Super Bowl champion Alfred Williams. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by the South Carolina Bar.
Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott is now done for the season after suffering an ankle injury in their win over the Giants. However, the Cowboys are now in first place in the NFC East despite their 2-3 record. Some good news for America's team. Well, their new starting quarterback Andy Dalton had a single game passing grade of 85 against the Giants, which PFF will tell us is the best of Week 5 and the best of any NFC East quarterback this season. I'm Chris Collinsworth.
If you have a tough legal problem and don't know where to turn, the Lawyer Referral Service of the South Carolina Bar can help. The LRS program can refer you to an experienced lawyer in your area. Your first 30-minute consultation is no more than $50. Visit scbar.org/LRS.
In 1983, Diane Downs did something unthinkable to her children. She then showed up to her trial, pregnant.
Diane had gotten pregnant again. I don't think anyone in the press knew that yet.
Join host Melissa Moore as she helps that child, Becky Babcock, navigate her connection to a killer. iHeartRadio is #1 for podcasts, and it's easy to see why. Find Happy Face presents Two-Face on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members, of their families or their children, asking them to deploy, patrol, stay on watch, on point, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to bring them all the way home, to keep them secure, to have their backs for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs do whatever it takes to help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Find out how you can help at findwwp.org.
Want to hit a home run with your smart speaker? Alexa, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
That sounds like a pretty good choice to me.
The show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk on a Thursday. Again, we were listening to Dabo Swinney, getting the Coach of the Year, the Bear Bryant Award, back in January of 2019. He brought up Woody McCorvey to the stage. The reason we're listening to that is looking at Nick Saban's situation with COVID-19. I posed the question to Tim Bray, who do you think it would be? And Tim doesn't know. He doesn't know. He said, again, let me make sure everybody understands, I do not know. My suggestion at first was Brett Venables on the sidelines, Tony Elliott in the press box. Makes sense. That's where those guys are anyway. But then Tim said, maybe he'd go Woody McCorvey. And Swinney was talking about Highway 31, Pelham, Alabama, and the connection between Atmore, Alabama, and Pelham, Alabama, and Highway 31, and their relationship and the coaching job, working together, being coached by McCorvey at Alabama. I mean, Dabo Swinney here is winning Coach of the Year in college football, and he brings up McCorvey, puts his arm around him, and says, this is my coach. It's a big moment. It's a big moment. And here's the rest of what Dabo Swinney had to say about Woody McCorvey.
Woody was a quarterback at Alabama State. At that time, he couldn't go to Alabama. But fast forward to 1996, he's the offensive coordinator at the University of Alabama, broke down a barrier, and he wants me to be his receiver coach. And so I go to work for Woody in 1996, but as he was my coach, he's been a mentor. When I got the job at Clemson, the first person I called was Woody. He was the offensive coordinator at Mississippi State, and I said, Woody, man, I need you to come be by my side. I don't want you to coach a position. I want you to help me coach life. I want you to help me run the program. Y'all see, he's got all the gray hair. I'm still hanging in there. But you don't know how impactful Woody McCorvey has been in my life. He's been right by my side. And so even though my name may be on this trophy tonight, man, he ought to be on there somewhere too. And let me just tell you who he is. So just this week, he had one of his players win his second national championship Monday night and win his third Bear Bryant Award. But today, he also had another one of his former players, his quarterback that he coached in 1996, Freddie Kitchens, be named as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. So, if you don't think football matters, are you kidding me? Highway 31 and the little pigskin brought these two men together, and he's been a best friend. He's been like a father to me in life. And, man, I just felt like, you know, I've come up on this stage and I've accepted this award, but Woody McCorvey deserves it just as much as me. God bless all of you, and thank you so much.
What an awesome moment during that Coach of the Year ceremony back in 2019. And that's substantial, folks. And makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense the more you know what Tim Beret suggested. 803-450-0086. All right, HD, listening to the program via the text line. Says it's HD in Charlotte. Man, appreciate all our listeners in the Queen City. He says, just want to follow up on your point about COVID and the effect on the season. This is not a good sign, but predictable. He also attached a link, cases up in South Carolina, over 1,000 new cases for the first time in a month. And again, it is something that is certainly unavoidable. Everybody knew that. That was essentially what Dabo Swinney said to us when we asked him about Nick Saban and COVID-19 yesterday as he came off of the practice fields.
Well, I didn't know that. I mean, Ross literally just told me walking over here. So, you know, first of all, I hate to hear that, and but we all know that's just, you know, listen, that's we all know what we're dealing with here. I mean, there's a virus out there; any of us can get it, and it's not like anybody had any thoughts coming into this season that nobody was going to get the virus. The plan was to try to do everything we could to mitigate it, and we've done that, and it's been, you know, a great season to this point. I know we've had some ups and downs in different places and stuff, and that'll continue. But, you know, best wishes and thoughts for Coach Saban, and, you know, hopefully he's going to do, you know, well. I'll probably call him later and make sure he's doing good. But certainly hate to hear that, but, you know, I'll guarantee you he's got a plan, and I don't know if his wife, Miss Terry's got a plan, you know, but to have him home for a while, that's in the middle of a football season, that's going to probably be a little unusual. But, you know, hopefully he'll recover quickly and be able to get back.
That's so funny. I don't know if Miss Terry's got a plan. Dabo Swinney said there after the news about Nick Saban came out yesterday. Little update in the ALCS. The Houston Astros down 3-1, up 1-0. Top of the second inning during the live program in the Midlands of South Carolina on Fox Sports Radio 1400 on the iHeartRadio app. Of course, you can listen on Sports Radio 100.1 The Fan from 6 until 8. Also on the iHeartRadio app, no matter where you are in the world, catch it and be a part of it. Great time today here on the program. Didn't get a chance to ask Tim about the interior defensive lineman. I threw my notes away already, but I had that one written down, but ended up talking a little bit more about Georgia Tech and the Yellow Jackets and Clemson historically through the years. One of the great rivalries for Clemson Tiger fans. And again, that cross-divisional game that I think so many fans just love or like for whatever reason. Again, we mentioned the history behind it, the fact that Clemson played over in Atlanta forever and a day. I think started playing in Atlanta in 1902 and didn't play in Clemson again until 1974. Now, they didn't play every season. They played a lot in Atlanta. And I think a part of that is the reason that Georgia Tech leads the all-time series 50-32-2. One of the few series that Clemson trails in the Atlantic Coast Conference by 18 games, nonetheless. Final segment, a bow on it, right after this.
Kirk Commercial Construction is a licensed general contractor in South Carolina. Since 2011, Chris Kirk, a Columbia native with 20 years of construction experience, has believed in meeting his customers' needs. Kirk Commercial Construction is capable of performing any retail or office expansion, new construction, metal building, or commercial renovation work. In addition to Kirk's commercial construction projects, their service division can assist you with commercial and maintenance tasks. If you need it done right, call 803-250-2495 or KirkCommercialConstruction.com.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
Incontinence products. We get it. You don't want to buy them in the store, and you certainly don't want to stand there in the aisle and try to choose which one is right for you. That's why we started Because. Because Market developed comfortable, next-generation underwear and pads that work, and our caring team of customer service folks will listen and help get you just what you need, shipped discreetly and directly to your home. Go to becausemarket.com now for a free trial and see all our 5-star reviews. That's becausemarket.com.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand or what? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke. Are you okay? I'm having a stroke. Your face looks weird, too. I'm having a stroke. Are you having a seizure or something? I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
All girls in kindergarten through 5th grade, you're invited to a free robot building or animal dance party with Girl Scouts. It's virtual and a great way to make new friends while having a meaningful experience. No membership necessary. To register, go to gssc-mm.org.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Thursday. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you. I saw a post over on social media the other day. My buddy Rob Sanders, he made the Swanee and Sanders T-shirts, or had them made. And I saw a gentleman named Jeff chiming in on those T-shirts, and he was talking about the call that took place on the program many moons ago, where I honestly don't remember what the circumstances around the call were. I do know, I think we were in the midst of South Carolina winning 5 consecutive games over the Tigers, but it was the caller talking to me, and he didn't know my name, and that's where part of our intro came from, because Rob said, yeah, when Swanee pulled that, I had to save it. So here is that moment in this show's history, if you've never heard it.
But losing 6 coaches the previous year off a team that won the ACC, won 12 games, won the Orange Bowl, and 6 coaches fly the coop. What's your name again? I'm sorry, sir.
Just call me Swanee.
Swanee. They can't pay these people. They can't pay because they haven't managed their books properly.
So there you go. I don't even know what that was in reference to. But I love the fact that a guy called the show and didn't know my name. And then on the air felt like it was okay to say, what's your name again, sir? Classic. Again, coming up tonight, the Atlanta Braves. Looking forward to hopefully being able to report to you here on the program tomorrow that the Braves are now up 3-1 and not knotted up at 2. I want to see the Braves in the World Series like nobody's business. Coming up this weekend, Saturday, the Clemson Tigers undefeated. They'll travel to Atlanta to take on the 2-2 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. But I think a better than expected Georgia Tech 2-2 team. South Carolina 1-2 will face Auburn 2-1. Sort of Clemson light. The Auburn Tigers ranked number 15 in the country. That's a noon kickoff on ESPN. Clemson's on ABC at noon. The Gamecocks on ESPN at noon. Chad Morris, former Clemson offensive coordinator. Kevin Steele, former Clemson defensive coordinator, will be on the sidelines for Auburn in that matchup. From the South Carolina perspective, Gamecock fans, I give it to you real every week. I don't know what you're hearing where you are. I give it to you. I give you the realness. It's one of those things where I think sometimes people feel like they have to protect your feelings. Well, we don't want to make them angry. Not me. And quite frankly, you have every right to disagree with what I say here on the program. I don't begrudge you for disagreeing with me. South Carolina is 1-2. And I'll leave this with you overnight. You can text me if I'm crazy. I don't think they're going to beat Auburn this weekend. That's 1-3. I don't think they're going to beat LSU. That's 1-4. I don't think they're going to beat Texas A&M. That's 1-5. I don't really think they're going to beat Ole Miss at this point, but I'm going to concede that I'll throw it as a toss-up. That's 2-5. I don't think they're going to beat Missouri, 2-6. I don't think they're going to beat Georgia, 2-7. I think they can beat Kentucky, 3-7. I honestly believe South Carolina is going to go 3-7. Am I wrong, Gamecock Nation? Let me know. Am I crazy?
Okie dokie.
Let me know. Or does South Carolina have some magical victories left on this resume? I just don't see it. And that's why, and honestly, I'm giving you 3. You got 2 in the bag. I'm giving you 2 more. I'm not even sure if the 2 more I'm giving you are even fair.
I guess that's your theory.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. But man, if somebody's trying to justify to you how you're going to beat Auburn this weekend, the only justification is what we saw from Arkansas against Auburn last weekend, which I think Arkansas should have won that game. I agree. But I'm not so sure that Arkansas is not actually a better football team than South Carolina. I think if Arkansas was on that schedule, I'd throw it in there as one of those, you should win it, but I can't guarantee it. Matter of fact, I would say this without question to our Gamecock listeners peeking over the fence, as much as I love you guys. Truth is, you don't have a game on your schedule remaining that's a certain win. There's not a single one. Not in my opinion. Doesn't mean you can't win a game. Doesn't mean you can't win 2 or 3 or 4. There is not a single, yep, that's a win on South Carolina's schedule. South Carolina's got a lot to prove. Can they prove it to me this weekend? That would be a big step. You might could change my tune. Depends on how you play this weekend, though. Let me know overnight. Text me. 803-450-0086. Hit me up on Twitter, @Clemson Sports. Am I crazy about what I've said about South Carolina football? We got to get out of here till tomorrow. As always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis